Undoubtedly, Lewis Hamilton is one of the greatest talents that Formula One had. He proved his capacity to be a world champion in the debut season of his Formula One career by fighting against world champions like Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen, and Felipe Massa, and unluckily missed the world championship by a very little margin. But he was able to achieve his dream by winning the 2008 World Championship with McLaren in his second season of Formula One career. His move to Mercedes from McLaren, which was a midfield team at that period, was a totally surprising move, and most of the pundits of Formula One criticized his move. But Hamilton proved that his move was the best decision that he had in his career by winning the World Championship after 2 years with Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton was partnered with German-Finnish driver Nico Rosberg. Toto Wolff was appointed as the Mercedes principal in 2013, and he showed his favor for Hamilton over Rosberg. This heats up the whole Formula One grid, as Nico Rosberg never wants to give up his dream of being a world champion on a car with a championship-winning capability. Anyway, he was able to clinch the 2016 driver's title after a close battle with Lewis Hamilton, but he never had enough support from the Mercedes garage. Rosberg openly criticized the relationship between Hamilton and Toto Wolff throughout the season, as he was treated unequally by the Mercedes team principal. Rosberg retired surprisingly after winning the 2016 championship. Then, Valtteri Bottas partnered with Lewis Hamilton for the 2017 season, and he was able to secure his Mercedes seat until the end of the 2021 season. Former Williams driver, never capable of matching the talent of 7-time world champion, and he always had to play the support role for Lewis Hamilton. Since the arrival of Wolff into the team principal role, Hamilton was always treated as the leading driver, and the team orders always gave the priority to the victory of Lewis Hamilton. If you are a longtime fan of F1, you know what happens when Bottas hears "James, it's Valtteri" over his radio. When Bottas heard it, he had to move aside of the track and allow Hamilton to pass him and clinch the victory. That was something totally unfair, and it harmed the liveliness of the sport too. But the things were gone totally upside down after the arrival of George Russell into the Mercedes as the replacement for Valtteri Bottas. 2018 Formula 2 champion had to stay in the Williams teams for 3 seasons until the time arrives. Formula 1 pundits rated him as a driver with championship-winning talent. Russell is someone totally different from Valtteri Bottas or Nico Rosberg, and still, no one knows what type of potential he carries. Now the situation is totally different within the Mercedes garage, and the question is whether Hamilton is still treated as the number one choice of Toto Wolff. Mercedes dominated all the Formula One seasons since 2014, and they won all the Constructors' Championships until the last season. But they lost the Drivers' Championship to Red Bull driver Max Verstappen after a tough battle all over the season. Then, the new regulation changes arrived for the 2022 season, and Mercedes was unable to adapt well to these changes. First, they showed a deficit of pace compared to its rivals Ferrari and Red Bull. Then, they were continuously hit with the porpoising problem, and W13 doesn't show any championship-winning potential yet. What did make Hamilton angry? The latest drama within the Mercedes garage was during the Miami Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton was angry at Mercedes after finishing behind George Russell due to strategical error about the timing of the pit stop. The seemingly strained relationship between Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes is not going to repair with these ongoing things. Even though Hamilton struggled in the previous Grand Prix, he showed a greater improvement in the Miami Grand Prix by having a lot better qualifying results compared to his teammate. Lewis Hamilton started the race on P6, while his teammate was far away from him at P12 on the starting grid. Due to the poor start of Hamilton, he slipped into 8th position on the opening lap. But he recovered soon to the 6th position again, and he was in a better position to attack Alfa Romeo's Valtteri Bottas running at P5 when the safety car was deployed. The safety car had come out when 17 laps were remaining. George Russell, who was running with hard compound tires, opted for a pit stop. Lewis Hamilton asked about the condition of his tires from a race engineer, Pete Bonington, to make a pit stop or not during the safety car session. Both Bonington and Mercedes strategy director James Vowles ordered Hamilton to stay out. They said they would leave it to your decision. "You tell me, man, don't leave it to me," Hamilton replied over the radio. As the Mercedes opted to run Hamilton with his old hard tire, he was kept vulnerable to pass by George Russell with a fresher set of tires on his car. Even though he was passed by Russell, Hamilton was capable of finishing the race in the 6th position after moving ahead of Valtteri Bottas in the closing laps of the race. When asking about the pit stop controversy behind the safety car, Hamilton said, "In that scenario, I have no clue where everyone is, and so when the team says it's your choice, I'm like, I don't have the information to make the decision, so that's what your job is. Like, make the decision for me. You've got all the details, I don't." So that's what we rely on the guys for, but today they gave it to me and I don't understand it. But anyways, I was just a bit unfortunate on the safety car, and as I said, at least we got points today, he further commented. Is there any reason to prefer Russell over Hamilton? Since the start of the 2022 season, George Russell appears to be the constant performer for Mercedes over Lewis Hamilton, and he remains in the 4th place of the current standings with 59 points to his name. But the 7-time world champion remains in the 6th position with 36 points. The point deficit between the championship leader Leclerc and Hamilton is 68. It is 45 for Russell. Mercedes is showing some signs of improving its performance race by race, but that improvement is not strong enough to compete alongside Ferrari or Red Bull. If they were able to recover within the next 2 or 3 Grand Prix, there is a slim possibility of challenging the driver's title again. For that, point difference should be kept minimum as much as possible to give a better fight to Ferrari and Red Bull drivers in the upcoming Grand Prix. George Russell was always the leading performer for Mercedes with the current W13 package, which is extremely porpoising. Even though 37-year-old Hamilton is a 7-time world champion with some of the greatest records in the F1, and he is continuously struggling with the porpoising issues and the current package. As we explained above, the point difference of Hamilton is also higher, and the most tactical decision for Mercedes in the present situation is to give priority to Russell, despite the old records of Hamilton. When asked about this strategical problem, Mercedes F1 chief Toto Wolff felt Hamilton was between a rock and a hard place when the safety car came out, acknowledging it wasn't favorable for him and favorable for George. George had a window, no one behind him, he was able to switch to a practically new medium, Wolff explained. Lewis had to decide, do I keep the position on a hard or do I go on a soft, which would have also been tricky. It was probably a 50-50 decision, and in the end, it didn't work out for him. It's not the first time this season that he's been unlucky with the safety car, Wolff said further. It is difficult to predict exactly what is going on within the Mercedes garage. Even though Hamilton is frustrated, sometimes it may be totally a normal decision in between a race without any drama behind it. The only thing that we can predict is that the championship winning opportunity is very slim for both the Mercedes drivers. So, Mercedes should focus entirely on the performance of its W13 before worrying about who is their championship winning driver.